Can
Yeah.
I please see that MF Doom ring you got on, brother?
Oh yeah. There you go. I got a lot
Man,
of Doom stuff actually. I have like I have a mask down there.
yeah,
I have another ring. I have a lot of Doom stuff. I'm a like big MF Doom fan. Huge MF Doom.
yo, I love it, man. That is so foul. I was looking at it,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, is that an MF Doom ring? I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
really
yeah.
cool,
Yep.
bro.
Yep. Every
Really
day.
cool, man. Welcome to another episode of What Are Those, the show that explores the artist sneaker culture. I'm your host, Adam Butler, back with another episode. Listen, man, great guest today. My man Khari is in the building. He's representing Sucasa, Final Studios, all of that, man. He is a hip-hop expert. He's a writer. He's a journalist. He's an artist within the industry, man. And, of course, he's a sneakerhead. We're going to get right into that in a moment. Before that, thank you all for subscribing to the show. Thank you all for subscribing to the channel. I appreciate you all. We hit 50 subscribers. We did it, y'all. So the next goal is 100. So let's get there. Let's get to 100 subscribers. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Comment on the videos. You know what to do. Do all of that stuff, man. Appreciate you all for all of that. Okay. Like I said, Khari is in the building, man. We talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about family. We talked about him living in the UK, moving from Brooklyn to the UK. We talked about his amazing journey as a journalist, writing for The Source and others, selling vinyl records, all sorts of cool stuff, man. And of course, we talked about sneaker and sneaker culture. It's all in there. I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's jump right into it. My man Khari is coming up right now. Khari, what up, man?
What's good, man? How's it going?
I'm coolin', brother. I'm excited to talk to you, man.
Likewise.
You have a lot of really, really cool things going on, man. You're a really interesting person. So I want to start from the top because I do feel like everything you do touches what this show is about, right? Yeah. The home decor stuff, like this is like an art show, right? You're a sneakerhead. Yeah. Clearly that touches the sneaker part. Just being a subculture of hip hop culture, sneaker culture is, you're big on hip hop culture. You sell vinyl records. You do. I mean, you're like the perfect guest for the show. All right.
I appreciate that. It's very interesting to be on this side as well. Like, I've done a lot of interviews and stuff like that too. So it's very cool to finally be on this side and talking about these things I'm very passionate about.
No doubt, man. So tell me about how you and your wife ended up in the UK.
Yeah. So me and Bridget, it's a long story. I'll make it short.
Sure.
Essentially, she moved due to work.
Okay.
She and I were kind of dating on and off, but she ended up moving to London. She does like finance stuff for this big fintech company.
Gotcha.
So she moved there in January 2020, so before the pandemic started.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously by March, like the world shut down. She's kind of out in this other country by herself.
Yeah.
We were kind of on and off talking at the time, and during the pandemic, we kind of rekindled. And I guess it just one day I was kind of like, you know what? We were trying to get her to come back to New York. Yeah. And then she kind of was like, well, what if you moved out here? And then I was like, well, what if I moved out here? Out there. And we kind of just figured out like, how can we get me out there? So it was a combination trying to figure out like a work situation, getting a visa, sponsorship. Luckily her job, because she relocated, they have like a package to kind of bring your loved ones with you. So you're able to get like a domestic partnership, which allowed us to then move to London, or move me to London to be with her essentially. And I've been out here since March 2021.
Yeah. So that's what's up, man. So you're in the UK. We'll talk about Sucasa in a minute. I think that's dope, man. But just tell me about, like, I'm here in the States, obviously. Like, tell me about like the vibe of the UK when it comes to like hip hop culture, sneaker culture. Like from afar, it feels like it's rich, but get the people hip if they haven't, even thought about going over there.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say the sneaker culture out here is very similar to the sneaker culture in America, in the sense that the same sneakers that we like, they like out here as well. Yeah. I think the hip hop culture out here is a bit different in the sense that they support a lot more of their local artists. There's like genres of music that I only got familiar with when I got out here, like, drum and bass and garage and things of that nature. So they have like a history. There's certain songs that I'll be in a party and like everybody knows the words, or they have like a dance move or a thing that they do when it comes on. And I'm like, I never heard a song in my life. I'm kind of sitting there like I don't have the same emotional attachment. It's like if you hear like Snap Your Fingers by Lil Jon, like you already know it's me. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. So there's that, and then just a lot of the current rappers, like the Central C's and the Nuxes of the world and stuff like that. They have a different. They are pulling from certain American aspects, but
Mm-hmm.
I think what they're bringing to this space is a lot more authentic to them, while kind of grabbing those U.S. aspects. So it's interesting, kind of seeing where the inflection of the U.S. kind of influence kind of shows up out here in terms of the music thing. But sneaker culture just the same. People,
Yeah.
line up. People are very keen to doing like copying the collaboration pieces or collaboration sneakers over the ones that you
Yeah.
could find in the mall. Like the same
Yeah.
kind of same thing.
Yeah. So it speaks to how global hip hop and sneaker culture has become, right?
Yeah,
Because I'm sure there was a point where like the UK, I'm not saying that it isn't, but like the UK sneaker culture was probably very extremely unique to people that live over there, as
yeah,
opposed like I'm from DC. I've been talking about this for weeks. The sneaker culture in DC was very unique here as it
yeah,
was to like in Brooklyn or in Atlanta or in New
yeah,
Orleans, right? And so the global piece of it is interesting and it's good, right? But like
yeah,
you still want to feel like those local, and that's why I'm fascinated by like someone that lives, outside of the states, right? Because
yeah,
social media has combined everything, and everything just feels like okay. It used to be a time you could tell where someone was from, not so
yeah,
much anymore. I am
100%.
curious to, yeah, I am curious to see if it's like that overseas, right? Like when you're
Yeah,
in the UK, like clearly the accents, obviously, right?
yeah.
But like, do you feel like, oh, I'm in an authentic place that's very much different than Brooklyn?
Yeah. So, well, all right. Before we get to that, right?
Yeah,
There's one out. So I want to give DC credit for a few things real quick
I'll
because you
take.
mentioned you're from
Yeah,
DC and you mentioned
yeah,
sneaker culture, and I think we like a lot of us would be remiss to, and I'd be fake if I didn't mention it, which is like first and foremost like New Balances. Like you guys were wearing New Balances way before everybody else, and I would say maybe in the past like 3, 4, 5 years, New Balance had this crazy resurgence, and I
yeah.
like DC doesn't get the credit it deserves in like being the biggest proponent of those sneakers first. Those and foam posits, which it looks like those are kind of coming back a little bit too. Yeah, I know you have to have a couple. I'm sure you have a couple. Are those the Wale joints? Oh, nice, nice, nice. Yep,
Had to, had to.
nice, nice. Yep.
Yo,
So I want to give y'all credit for that.
appreciate that, man. Thank you. Seriously,
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah,
100%. And then I guess just in terms of yeah, I would say authenticity wise, I think it's interesting. It's hard to say, right? I'll give you an example. So I did this interview with this dude Edson, who he started. Do you know the brand Pata?
yeah.
Patta? Yeah.
Got the Air Max
Remember?
right, looking right at him. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I'm wearing a shirt too. Yeah.
Word.
So I interviewed a while ago the owner, so Edson,
Okay.
and
Right.
he and I were talking, and he was kind of mentioning about when he first started going to New York. He's from Amsterdam,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He was saying that he was going there to buy sneakers.
Mm.
And Michael Jordan wasn't somebody he really knew because football was more prominent in Amsterdam. And he knew football players did not know who the
Mm.
basketball players were, right? So what he
Mm.
would do to get people to when he come to New York, since he didn't know the names of the sneakers, he'd bring album covers, and it would be like, oh, these sneakers that like Rakim was wearing, or like he'd cut them off of his records to show
Mm.
like, I want these sneakers. I don't know what they're called, but do you have them in stock, kind of thing. And that would have been like what, like 20 something years
Oh,
ago when he was first like trying to start the brand and
yeah,
whatnot. So then you fast forward to like now,
yeah.
and I think that there's still I think out here there's still barriers of entry in terms of
Mm.
accessibility. I think
Mhm.
that, but then there's this combination of like there's the barriers of entry, but then there's also, I don't know, this. I guess there a lot of sneakers are coming out nowadays,
Yeah.
and it almost feels like sneaker culture is kind of like, I won't say dying, but it's kind of like getting desaturated, like more
Mm.
than or distilled than it used to be. So
Yeah.
while in New York, I think there's still, or even in the East Coast or in America, I think there's still like
Mhm.
a rich sneaker culture, and I think that
Mhm.
people kind of have the ones that they like, the ones that they don't. I do think that while some people struggle to get them, so they're a lot more hype out here. In America, it's like a little bit dying a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And I
That
think
makes
that's
sense.
how. Yeah, that makes perfect sense because I think that's
Yeah,
how hip hop is, right? Like we is birthed in America, so I feel like in America we kind of take all aspects of hip hop culture for
yeah,
granted.
for
Like for
sure.
instance, in the Olympics, right? you had breaking in the Olympics. And here and we
I
laugh,
feel
right?
lady dancing in my brain.
I know, because bro, don't even get me started on her, man, because
Yeah,
if you really think about it, it's such a dope situation, right? Because it's
yeah,
hip hop on a global stage, right? In front of a
100%.
bunch of people and it's like really niche part of hip
Yeah,
hop. And then this
yeah,
lady goofs it up and now it's like it's a joke. But if you take her out of it, right?
yeah, yeah,
And just to look at what it is in America, even outside, even before that woman decided to break dance, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
In America, it was kind of like breakdance. Oh man, but I feel like the everyone else, right? Everybody else, every other country that represented breakdancing in the Olympics was super excited to be there. The
Yeah,
American team was too. Don't want to get me wrong, the American team, but
yeah,
I'm talking about like I feel like the countries were excited to see breakers
100%.
from their country because it's still kind of it's newer to them than it is to us,
Yeah,
right?
and I think they have a lot more respect for it than we do. Like, and I
Mm,
think in America, like the life cycle and like shelf life of certain things that are
mm,
trendy, it comes and goes. But like, I don't know, if I go on Instagram any given day, go to my explore page, like I'll
mm.
see like I don't know, it might be like a group of like little kids that are like Asian that are just like nice, like
Yeah,
killing it, you know, like
yeah,
doing fly moves and everything. Say, oh yeah, like that's still alive. And every
yeah,
once in a while, you kind of just see these little viral moments of people breakdancing and
yeah,
you know, back in the days when it first came out, at least my understanding, because I wasn't alive yet, but
yeah, yeah, yeah,
hearing from like my pops and like my uncles and stuff, like you were the flyest dude in the neighborhood if you could break dance.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
dope to see that like there's people who still respect b-boy culture and are still like kind of
Mhm.
trying to bring that to the forefront and however
Yeah.
that represents, whether that's virality on Instagram or the Olympics, you know?
Yeah, and it's like, that niche part of hip hop culture with breaking, to me, sneaker culture and the fashion pieces are kind of like the same. Like they're sectors of hip hop culture and
Yeah.
sectors of black culture, right? So black people have always been fashionable. Black people have always been to the sneakers. Black people have always
Yeah.
danced, right? Break dancing is just an evolution of that, right? Though there
100%.
were people involved in the beginning, Crazy Legs, people like that were not African American, right, or black people. Still it comes from people from the diaspora, right? Like people from the motherland, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yep.
and so when you think about the sneaker culture, when you say that like it's getting a little saturated, it makes perfect sense because here in the States, it's almost transitioned into fashion culture, right? Like it
Mm.
had this boom around the pandemic where everybody wanted to be a reseller, all this and that. But
Yeah.
now it's kind of like, okay, I'm not, people are almost ashamed to say I'm a sneakerhead, but they wear sneakers. It's like, I'm not just a sneakerhead. I'll wear these, I'll wear that. I've
Yeah.
always said being a sneakerhead doesn't mean you wear sneakers every single day for every
Yeah.
situation. It just
Yeah.
means you have a love for sneakers that's a bit deeper than someone else. And tell me what you think about that. Like,
Yeah.
how would you define modern sneaker culture?
I mean, I do think that when you're in an era where there are like 17-year-old kids who would prefer copping like some loafers than like some
Mhm.
sneakers, it is like there is a shift, right? And
Yeah,
that kind of happens after at any point. Like back in the days, if I went to school wearing loafers, it was like unless it was a school that had a uniform, it's like you're
yeah,
getting ripped. Like people want
yeah,
to cut you up. But it's
yeah,
like I think there's just like a sophistication level that's kind of
yeah,
occurred, and I think there's a lot more um, like high fashion where it felt like
mhm,
something that there was a really big barrier of entry to get into.
yeah, yeah,
I think that it's being showcased and really promoted to a younger audience in a way it hadn't been before. Like if you knew
mhm,
somebody who had a Gucci anything when we were like
yeah.
teenagers and 20s, it's like yo, you have mad money.
What?
You know what
Right?
I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
That wasn't something that wasn't common, but now it's kind of
yeah,
like, oh, I know like a 19-year-old with like Prada loafers,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like because I think the music and it kind of ties into the music you've been
Hmm.
saying. I think the music and some of the fits pages that bring some of the musicians on, and they're wearing certain like high
Yeah,
fashion pieces. I think
yeah,
that the shift there happens, but I mean the good thing, and we know this because we've been around for a while,
for sure.
is that it'll come back. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? It'll
yeah,
come back. Like I
yeah.
stopped wearing my ones, like my Jordan ones. I don't wear them as much. I wear a
Hmm.
lot more New Balances today. But I'm
Hmm.
wear these ones one day. Like they're gonna be, 3 to 5 years from now, I'm be wearing them just the same. So everything comes back around, and luckily that's the case. So we don't have to stick when we don't like it. It's like it's our time is coming back eventually.
It's all
You
good.
know?
Exactly. I
Yeah.
laugh at that because me and my boy Paul were talking about, again, I showed you those phones and how in DC, like the phones were life for a long time.
Oh
And
yeah.
I literally had a conversation with him about a year or two ago. And I was like, bro, I actually don't own any phone posits. This is crazy. Like I'm a DC
Wow.
dude and I have like none that I would wear. I think I had some like deep in the closet somewhere that I
Yeah.
hadn't even thought about. That's probably like dogged, right?
Yeah.
And I was laughing about that. And then here we are, like, now I'm starting to see people with phone pauses on in the street again. And it's
Yeah.
like, see, all these things come back. And
They
that's why
come
I
back.
don't think you should stick to trends. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's okay for hip hop to evolve and kind of feel foreign for a few minutes, because it's kind of like the culture trying to figure out, well, what's next? What are we going to grow into? And I think that's
Yeah.
okay. You
Yeah.
don't need to hold on to everything. And if you like something, wear it. I mean, it's
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
yeah,
Exactly. And two, and I also would say like we'd be remiss to like not mention the fact that there is a change. I think that the consumer these days are a lot more intelligent, and we'd be remiss
yeah,
not to mention the fact that like the quality of some of this stuff isn't as good as it used to be.
very
Like
true.
a pair of Jordan
Yeah,
ones from the 2000s to the
yeah,
2010s to
yeah,
the re-releases now. It's like
yeah.
you can see the difference, you can feel the difference. If you have both pairs, you can like it's very
Yep.
visible. So and I think the consumer now is like, oh, if I'm gonna spend this much money on this, I can save
Mhm.
up a little bit more and get some of this that might last me a lot longer. So I think people
Absolutely.
are moving in that direction. And just in general, I think again the collab culture of things, and
Mhm.
that's across clothing, that's across sneakers. I think there's just a preference of seeing a brand and another brand collide. And if you do that
Yeah,
really well, you're out of here. Like that's a home run. And if you
yeah,
don't do it so well, if you don't do it at all, then you're gonna fall back.
yeah,
People. But then again, like I said, collab culture is gonna die off eventually. You'll be like, all right,
yeah,
everything's a collab. What happened to the pure
yeah,
version of this stuff?
yeah.
And then we'll be back to that at some point as well.
No doubt, no doubt, man. That's
Yeah,
I want to transition into you a little bit more, man. You're
yeah,
a storyteller. You mentioned
yeah,
earlier at the top of the show that it's different for you to be on this side of the microphone, right?
yeah,
Let's talk about what you do, man. You said you mentioned earlier you interviewed the creator of Pata. You
yeah.
talked to some very important people. Like, just kind of talk about that side of your life.
Yeah, so before like, I've had a 10-year career in fashion,
Hmm.
mostly in operations, but in fashion nonetheless.
Yeah.
And but before that, I went to school for journalism actually. So I went to the University of Albany
Shouts to
and
Auburn.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, great school. So I went there and yeah, I studied journalism, graduated with a degree in journalism.
Hmm.
And like most writers at that time, and probably most writers in general, you get out and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a job and I'm gonna
Yeah.
go to like, I don't know, New York Post or I don't
Yeah.
know, Daily
Yeah.
News or something like that and just get a big deal. And like none of that was the case. Like my first job, I was at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Get it.
luckily my auntie, she
Mhm.
knew the owner of the source. So after
Mm.
Benzino sold it, the
Yeah.
owner is this lawyer, Londell McMillan, who
Mhm.
he's like the lawyer for like Prince, Michael
Mm.
Jackson,
Yeah.
a few different like high profile people. My auntie at one point, my auntie's a congresswoman. Actually, she lives in DC, so she's
Okay.
the yeah, she's a U.S. congresswoman. So she was like, "Yo, Londell needs writers. Do you want to write for the Source magazine?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
they brought me on. I was kind of an intern. I was there
Mhm.
for a bunch of years. So I'd leave
Mhm.
Starbucks smelling like coffee and
Mhm.
get to the office and spend the rest of the day there, just kind of writing stories, mostly
Yeah.
just like aggregated content,
Yeah.
just like things that I already posted somewhere else, just regurgitating it. But then
Yeah.
I started kind of finding like my little niche. Like I started
Mm.
I was like, no one's writing about art. There's no one
Mm.
doing art pieces. So even some of the art that I have on the wall right now
Yeah.
are people that I interviewed for the section that I created for the source called Concrete Canvas. Um,
Amazing.
so I started just kind of
Yeah.
interviewing different artists, and it was just like my little niche, my little section. Where I was like, all right, I made the name, I made this little
Yeah.
space that no one's trying to like occupy. Everyone might have the big music
Yeah.
article and the fashion article. I'm like, let me get my little piece right here, and it worked.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while, and then outside of that, I had some cover stories like Young Jeezy,
Mhm.
YG, Swiss Beats. I interviewed just a bunch of just like really honestly heroes of mine,
Yeah.
and since then I've kind of started working to get build my own kind of journalistic space that I'm currently working on. That will hopefully, well, not hopefully, that will become a magazine as well. So I'm in
Yeah.
the process of that. So like the Pata interview was part of that, and a few other
Yeah.
interviews I've been doing lately have been part of that. Just building that up,
I love it,
essentially.
man. I love it,
Yeah,
man. And we over here, what are those gonna support that in any way we can,
appreciate
man.
that.
Seriously, but I think
100%.
that's super dope. I a couple times while you were, sort of explaining your journey,
Yeah.
I just smiled because you're right. Like even with this show, I say it's the art of sneaker culture, right? And that's
Mhm.
like, it's one thing to just like talk about hip hop, is another thing to just talk about sneakers, but it's also when you think about the art pieces of it, right? And I think that's what
Yeah.
attracted me to not only Sucasa, but to your page as well. Like,
Yeah.
like it's visually pleasing, like you can
Yeah.
see the artistry in it, right? And that's
Yeah.
what I think, like, especially as people that are older within this culture, right?
Yeah.
It's less about the fads and less about like, oh, this is what, and I think that's why sometimes people can kind of get turned off by like hip hop and hip hop culture as they get older, because it just feels like a young person's game. But the people that stick with it and live with it appreciate the art more, in my
Yeah.
opinion. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the
I agree.
artists you listen to, going to vintage records, right? And,
Yeah.
and we can get into that. Like, like I got the Good Kid, Mad City back here.
Yeah.
Like that's
Good one.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Fire.
like it's an art piece. Like it's like I play it
Mhm.
every now and then, but it's an art piece. My aunt had like we discovered like a treasure trove of just like 45s and just like albums in her
Wow.
garage that my uncle had, who passed about almost 30 years ago at this point. He
Wow.
just collected all these records, and me and my dad just like we plan on going through them. And again, it's just almost like you just want to look at the album cover. You want to listen to it. You
Yeah.
want to hear
Yeah.
the crackling of the record. But it's almost just important to just have like, oh, look at the cover work, cover art
Yeah.
of this, man. Talk to me about like your love for vintage albums and your work in that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I love the way you put it. Even as I was thinking about like the magazine I'm working on, I was thinking like art first and just really thinking
Yeah,
about that. Um, and like the cover is really
yeah,
important. And I
yeah.
think, it is art. Like I have friends of mine. I mean, even like some of my albums, I have them on the wall as if they're art pieces because
Mm,
to me they are. And there's a
yeah,
photographer involved. Like there's no difference to
yeah.
me between one of those pictures and a photo that someone says is art because it's a photograph and
Absolutely.
it's in a frame.
Yeah,
I'd frame any one of these albums.
yeah.
But I guess in terms of collecting, I think to be totally honest with you, I was collecting before I even had like a record player. I just thought it
Mm,
was like cool, and like my father had a huge collection. As music started moving to streaming, I was like, well, I don't know. It was almost like it's like grown up Pokemon cards, if I'm honest. Like amongst my
yeah,
friends, it's
that's
kind
a
of
good way
like
to put it.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like I hit up my homies and I'm like, yo, oh, I got this one. Do you have this one yet? And there's
yeah,
different, versions,
yeah,
reissues. What do you have
yeah,
the color vinyl? So it's
yeah,
kind of one of those things now as far as collecting goes. But at first, it truly was just like their albums that I love, and the fact that music moved to the streaming platform. I wanted to have more physical media, and
yeah,
like I own this album, and if they change it or that one song just isn't on the album on streaming, I have the
yeah,
whole album in my possession, kind of thing.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. No
Yeah.
doubt. I mean, that's really what it's about, owning it, physically touching it. We come up in a time where you was running to Target to get the CD when it dropped on Tuesday at whatever
Yep.
time. The artwork was such an important piece of it. One I
Yeah.
miss.
Yeah.
Whenever I decide to buy an album or listen to an album or whatever, on streaming, I do miss that part of like laying down and opening up the booklet, whether it be from the cassette,
Yeah.
whether it be
With the
from the
lyrics on it
record.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, all the producers that worked on it, all the
Mhm.
cool artwork. And you're right, like it is art. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like it's
Yeah.
literally art. As you said, a photographer worked on it, an artist drew. If you're thinking about Aquemini,
Yeah.
that's like
Great album.
Ancient Aliens. That's like a cartoonist got there and
Yeah.
illustrated that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so it's a dope thing, and it's such a big part of our lives as hip hop heads coming up. And I do, I don't like to get into it. One of the kids are going to create their own
Yeah. Of course.
memories. You know what I mean? But I do wonder, I do feel a little bad for them because they don't always get to have that. Maybe it's showing up in different places that you and
Yeah.
a person my age just couldn't and doesn't care about. but I just know that feeling of like, all
Yeah.
right, I got the CD. Man, the book is like 5 pages. Damn, whoa.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
open it up
yeah.
and it's like it's something different. You just get it's like the toy in the cereal. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's funny. I think the kids nowadays, they can actually like reach out to these artists on Instagram
yeah,
and they will get a response back. We kind of didn't
yeah.
have that access.
Never,
So
never.
the
Yeah,
closest thing you can kind of get to like behind the scenes or even understanding
yeah,
what this person was doing was the booklets, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And I think, you know, but I guess from an artistry perspective, like the reason why I knew the RZA produced on Only Built for Cuban Links, or the reason
Mm,
why I knew Kanye West produced on Blueprint, was because I had the booklet and I could read it. It's now
yeah,
nowadays I think producers have to do a lot of drops, so they're gonna say their name at the beginning of the
yeah,
song so that you know who it is
yeah,
because no one's reading the credits.
yeah,
Back then it's like like everyone who we probably both find to be like some of the best producers of all time. We found that out because we were reading them books. You
yeah,
know, we were looking
yeah,
into those booklets. We didn't have, I mean, besides maybe Just Blaze, people weren't really saying their names in the
yeah,
front of a track, so you didn't know who it
yeah,
was unless you
yeah,
read. And
yeah,
you know, I think that there is that scavenger hunt component that's kind of missing now
yeah,
with the kids. I can't really name a bunch of producers that are out right now that are like new. There's ones
yeah,
that are making music that have been around for a while that I do know, but like brand
yeah,
new guys, I'm kind of like, oh, I know the
yeah,
song, but I don't know the producer. And I think
yeah,
production is such an important art. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's a
yeah.
little bit lost, if I'm honest.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you. All right,
Yeah,
so before I let you go, I got to talk about Sucasa and the project that you have
yeah, yeah,
going on with your wife, man. It's that is a beautiful thing. I'm a married man, and my wife does the decor in the house and all of this stuff, and and I was looking at your stuff. I'm not saying our stuff is bad. I'm just saying I was looking at you guys' stuff, and it just looks so cool. And again,
yeah,
the
yeah,
art is always like I'm always attracted to the art.
yeah.
Tell me about how you all decided to start that page, and talk to me about like some of the buzz and attention that it's been getting.
Yeah. So Sukasa, sorry. So Bridget has been into interior designs for as long as I knew her.
Yeah.
Like back when we first started dating, and she didn't really have an outlet for it, and it was
Mm.
kind of like, I bought her this app for Valentine's Day in like
Mm.
2021, and it's like a thing that it's like The Sims, but it's like a professional version where you can
Wow.
like design a room. It turns 3D. You can kind of
Mm.
pick out how you want to do it. So I bought it for her as just like a thoughtful gift for Valentine's Day, and she started
Oh,
using it, but she was kind of on and off with it. But
yeah.
then around the house, she kind of just had really good ideas, and I had to kind of design my first apartment when I moved to London. And it was like, okay, yo, you really have a good eye for this stuff. Like she knew the
Yeah.
colors she wanted to pick and
Yeah.
accent walls and all these things. I'm like, okay, so she really is passionate about this thing.
Yeah.
So fast forward, like maybe 2023, she and I were talking about different things. Like we both have jobs. She has a 9 to 5. I
Yeah.
have like a 3 to 10 because I work out here. So we were
Right.
like, how can we kind of escape this maze that we're kind of trapped in as far
Mm.
as our full time jobs? And we were talking about maybe like opening a shop, and
Mm.
we couldn't think of a name. And I don't know. I was just one day I was like, yo, what about Sucasa? She was like, all right, let's
Mm.
use that for now. I don't know if I want to keep it or not, but let's use that for now. So
Mm.
at first it was going to be like a shop where we like sold some goods, and we might end up doing that eventually down the line. But
Mhm.
then we kind of just started posting pictures of the house, and then
Mhm.
Bridget was kind of just, I don't know, she didn't really want to stick with it, so I had to like
Mhm.
make that IG page and
Mhm.
like start posting like, yo, I'm following our friends. Our friends are gonna know
Mhm.
about this page. We got to do something with it, and kind of just
Yeah.
pushing it because she's really good at it, but she's a little
Yeah.
shy and she's not used to being in front of the camera and stuff.
Mm.
So little by little, first it was us adding 100 of our friends and them following us back, and us posting things here and there. And then we got to like 1,000 followers within like maybe
Mhm.
a month or so. And it's like, okay, we have something going here. And
Mhm.
then one day, Bridget decided, she was like, well, we've been doing a lot of home decor things, but I have these pictures of us in elevators where I'm taking a picture and we're wearing like really cool outfits.
Yes.
Should I post it? And I was like, no, I'm like, that doesn't really fit the home decor
Mhm.
idea. It's like us in elevators and stuff. It's clothing.
Yeah.
I thought it was a
Yeah.
home decor page. So she said, you know what, I'm gonna post it anyway. And she did,
Mhm.
and it went viral. So, the next day I'm like, yo, you wanna wear some new outfits? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I'll pick the outfit
Yeah.
out next time. I'm like,
Yeah.
that worked. Yeah, like it worked. It worked. So I
Yeah.
was like, then we really started kind of saying, all right, you know what? Let's think about this concept, Sucasa, your home. And
Mhm.
it's like, your home is what you wear. Your home is your attitude, how you feel inside,
Yeah.
your mental space, your
Yeah.
physical space.
Yeah.
And as we kind of started more broadly thinking about what it meant, the fact that we're in London opposed to New York, like there's
Yeah.
a bunch of things that really make what your home actually is. And I think that concept was something that really excited us to kind of find ways to showcase.
Yeah.
And little by little, I think just the authenticity of the fact, it's two people who really get each other, have very similar taste, very similar kind of just like a vibe. It's kind of indescribable, I think. But I
Yeah.
think it's felt, it's like palpable. People can feel it. And it transcends. And I think little by little, we started getting campaigns here and there. People like, oh, yo, do you want to like, we'll give you this thing for free, and you
Yeah.
promote on your page. And then we started getting some paid campaigns. Well, okay, so this
Yeah.
actually like we're just being
Yeah.
ourselves, and we're just showcasing our life, but there
Yeah.
is something that people are getting out of it. And it helps our apartment looks a lot better. We have like
Yeah.
$1,000 furniture in the crib now because
Yeah.
people want to do campaigns with us, which is dope. It's like that saved that saved us money and time.
Hell yeah.
um
Yeah.
yeah, but it's really been phenomenal. I think that the following that we have there are just really just people with really good taste, and not just because they follow us,
Yeah.
but because they value this. It seems like they value the same things that we value. The things that they comment are very specific. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to get across. Like our
Yeah.
message is clear and everybody's getting it, and it's a really gratifying feeling for sure.
That's dope,
Yeah,
man. I love it. I love the page. I love the family thing, man. As a family guy,
yeah,
it warms my heart. And again, that's just something as somebody that is grown in hip hop, because I kind of see that as hip hop as well. Like, and that's
yeah,
why I love hip hop. It's just like it's sprawled into so many undefinable things, even family, right? I
absolutely.
just can see it all like oozing through the page, man. I'm a big fan of what you guys got going on. Big fan of you, man.
Appreciate that.
That
Likewise.
magazine, brother, like whenever you ready to like straight talk about the magazine or whatever
Oh
you
yeah,
want to
yeah,
do,
yeah,
let's come back. Let's talk about hip hop. But before we go,
yeah.
can I please see that MF Doom ring you got on, brother?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. I got a lot
That,
of Doom stuff actually. I have like I have a mask down there.
yeah,
I have another ring. I have a lot of Doom stuff. I'm a like big MF Doom fan. Huge MF Doom.
yo, I love it, man. That is so foul. I was looking at
Yeah,
it, I was like, oh, is that an MF Doom ring? I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
cool,
Yep.
bro.
Yep. Every
Really
day.
cool, man. Thank you so much for doing this, bro. I know the time difference. We worked
Oh,
it
not a
out,
problem.
man. Yeah,
All
man.
good.
I really appreciate you. I'd love to have you back on the show, man. So
Yeah, yeah.
let's keep
Anytime.
that up.
Hit me up. We can talk. We can talk about anything, man. I would love
Bet.
to be.
Appreciate you, brother. Have a great one, man.
All right, take care, man. Peace.
All right. Shouts out to Khari. Shouts out to his lovely wife. I've been showing my wife the page, man. I think that's really cool when couples do stuff, man. Shouts out to David Tiff. That's another dope couple channel. They do cool things, man. Yeah, I could go on and on. There's so many cool people doing cool things. It inspires me. Maybe me and Jenna do something one day. We'll see if she could tolerate recording with me on podcast format or on YouTube format. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. Remember to follow me, MSR_Adam, MSR_Adam. That's me on all socials. You can see the link tree there. You can subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. That really helps. Please hit the notification bell. All that. That's just a call to action. Do that for you, boy. And follow me on all social platforms. TikTok, the What Are Those Pod. And you can email me, the What Are Those Pod at Gmail. Holler at me if you're interested in being in the show or working with the show or anything like that. The What Are Those Pod at Gmail. That's me. All right. Remember to mind your mental health, ladies and gentlemen. Mind your mental health. There's a lot going on. We're getting out of summer. We're moving into fall. The leaves will be hitting the ground. The weather will be just a little bit colder. And this is when people start to get a little down because the sunshine, the days get shorter, all of that, man. But that's okay because life is still beautiful and we're still here to have some fun. We're still here to enjoy this art and enjoy ourselves. So mind your mental health, mind your physical health. Just because the days getting shorter don't mean you can't go outside and jog, do whatever you got to do. Get out there, get some sun on your skin and take care of yourself. Mind your physical health, especially to my black men out there. Take care of yourselves, man. Please take care of yourselves. All right. Do those things. And ladies and gentlemen, never forget and always remember to be great. I'm up out of here. Peace.